Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the last episode of this month of Pop Culture Therapy. I'm Advent Nebula.
And I'm Cruellica Kain.
So, we're looking at some things that have been going on, and is it really a fad that's ended? Or is it still going on? Or is it just become a mess of a problem that we've just lived vicariously through social media? And it's reality TV. And is it really worth it anymore?
So reality TV really started in the 90s with a show called Real World that aired on MTV. And it was a story about, I think it was like 10 people.
They take 10 random people from across the country and stick them in one house together.
And then we just have them recorded and watch the hijinks of all the stupid ass shit they
And
do.
then it got its own spin-off called Road Rules, where they take 10 random people from across the country and put them in a contest of tasks on a road trip across California for a month.
So, obviously, reality television has always existed since the invention of a game show.
Yeah.
On television. But what has made reality television different, even with the aspect of having a game show component to it, is that they're regular people.
Yeah.
So most of the game shows, obviously, even Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, they're regular people. But you had two distinct celebrities, like Vanna White, Pat Sajak, and for Wheel of Fortune specifically. And so when reality television came up, we were watching random people just
thrown into a situation together.
And the story has always been touted is that you wanted to be able to experience watching people do things. So we had Real World, then we got Survivor,
Which was the big pop culture phenomenon when it first came out in the late 90s. I want to say it was 97 or 98.
and then we got American Idol, which was different because technically it's a competition show, but it's not a game show.
Yeah.
So a game show is typically where you have those rounds and somebody has to do something.
Then you got European import, Big Brother, where it wasn't a competition. It's just a bunch of strangers in a house together that you eventually, once you got sick of one of them, you'd end up voting them out of the house.
And now we're to the point where we now have reality television about different celebrity families. We had it about the Eastwoods. We've had it, obviously, about the Kardashians.
Then you had the Real Housewives of Atlanta, the Real Housewives of Orange County.
Of Beverly Hills, of everywhere, New Jersey. Then we've had Jersey Shore.
Which Jersey Shore was probably the point where you went in the mid-2000s of going, yeah, reality TV, is it really worth it anymore?
Well,
so much so South Park made fun of it.
We also had the reality show with Hugh Hefner and his girlfriends. We've had reality shows. We had, oh my God, the one with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, The Simple Life.
And then you've had The Bachelor and Bachelorette still going on, which I don't know how when most of those couples don't last.
And now we've also included into that roster, we have drag competitions like RuPaul's Drag Race. We have Top Model. We have The Voice. We have Masked Singer. We have Masked Dancer. We have so many reality television shows.
Because they're cheap to produce, unlike syndicated television. And a part of this is probably because streaming has taken over for any kind of show that has a centralized plot.
But we're also having this creep into YouTube.
Yeah, Jake and Logan Paul. Oh, God, how?
And in reality television, at the beginning of it, honestly, I never really got into the big fad. I will admit that. I've watched, like, segments like RuPaul's Drag Race or Masked Singer, but the fascination has always been you get to experience someone else's life that is so beyond your understanding or what you can achieve in your own life.
Or you're just wanting to watch some people that are like you just be complete idiots.
And here's the question that has always come up for reality television. Is it real or is it actually scripted? Because if you actually watch the credits at the end of any of these shows, especially like Kardashians or
The Real Housewives.
Real Housewives series or anything like that, if you actually look at the credits, you have a writer. Now, people say, well, the writer is just how they organize it. They write out like, okay, this is how these scenes will be organized into an episode. But is that really the case?
It doesn't seem like it with the Kardashians.
And it never seemed like it with the real world or anything like that, because there may be real experiences. I highly doubt everything is faked. But are we actually experiencing someone else's life?
You know, the only one that seemed like, because they never had a writer on the staff, they had an editor on the staff, is Survivor. And that's been like the lone exception. Every other one of these reality shows has had a writer, at least in the credits.
And the other question with reality shows that I always see is, are we giving people love for being terrible human beings?
Yeah, I'd say we were with 19 Kids and Counting, with all this shit that's come out recently, which we can't talk about because it will equal demonetization.
And I actually feel creepy if I did talk about it at the same time. Or we have the Sister Wives. Or we have even the shows, like, think about Basketball Wives. Seeing some of those fights. Putting people into situations, same thing with Real Housewives. You're putting women or men or anybody into situations that you're going to get bad actions. And then when you think of the Paul brothers.
Yeah, which do on their YouTube.
We're rewarding
bad behavior with more celebrity endorsement.
And by rewarding these actions, we're perpetuating reality television. Because let's use the Kardashians for an example. The only reason anybody knew about who the Kardashians were first was because in 1990s, Robert Kardashian, the patriarch of the family, was the attorney for O.J. Simpson. So anybody in the 90s was like, oh, Kardashian, I know who those people are.
Yeah.
And then come early 2000s, his daughter, long since his death, because he sadly passed away. And I say it sadly because he wasn't a bad human being.
No, him and OJ's other lawyer both passed away prematurely.
But Kim Kardashian did a sex tape, which everybody believes, even Kim Kardashian it seems like, that her mother was the one who released it because her mother was a money-grubbing... I don't like Kris Jenner. So.
Kris Jenner's still a money grubber.
Oh, yeah. And so, using them as an example, they're not celebrities. They don't have any skill to their name.
No, they don't. Just because Kris Jenner is just somebody who enjoys the spotlight of celebrityism because of what she experienced in the 90s.
And we're rewarding
bad behavior.
Their bad behavior, and we're rewarding them for nothing. Honestly, if you think about it. Now, with the people like you said on Survivor, or even that show Fear Factor, some of that may be scripted. Yes, I don't believe they will put people in true risk of death. But
you knew what they had, any of the games that they had on there were basically written out and scripted, and then they just filmed.
Exactly.
From there out.
They made sure whatever they did wouldn't literally kill someone.
There have been serious injuries on both Fear Factor and Survivor.
But think about the show Catfished that they have on MTV, or 16 and Pregnant.
How that's still going is beyond me.
How is... So... And this is a part of our pop culture life now. Because think about it even with Jackass. Jackass just received a new feature film movie.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of new people that are going to be the new generation of Jackass.
And we're rewarding these people, not just bad behavior, but we're rewarding them to take risks that are stupid.
But Jackass is entertaining from my perspective.
No, don't get me wrong. There have been many things from Jackass that have been entertaining. But when you look at a show like Pranked or Catfished, I find those shows to be deplorable because catfishing is not technically a crime.
But it is scummy as fuck.
Well, exactly. You're basically leading someone on and putting them in a situation where they're being treated like a subhuman. And Pranked, when Ashton Kutcher was doing it, yeah, he claimed he was doing it all in good fun.
But you saw in the last season, there were a few times where he almost got punched in the face.
And it makes you worried in a more modern world how that affects people's mental health.
Yeah. Especially when we're coming out of a pandemic that's probably going to last another 2 to 3 years.
And now we have the situation of our streaming platforms doing it. Because
Hulu has some.
Well, Hulu just renewed the contract for the Kardashians.
Yeah, because they're moving it to Hulu.
And it's not, and basically how these people get paid is by subscribership and people watching those shows. So now where TV channels would get all this ad revenue because they'd have those commercial breaks, now the streaming services is banking on people joining their services to watch these people.
Yeah, and you're seeing ABC move their stuff with The Bachelor onto Hulu as well after it's aired on TV. But then they have the exclusive after show only on Hulu.
But the other thing that really frustrates me about pop culture being a part of or reality television being part of our pop culture narrative.
And it's really a pop culture narrative more so for America, Canada, and Europe. Western Europe.
I would say, yeah, Western Europe, like England especially.
Yeah, England really loves their reality TV shows. And then Norway, where Big Brother originated, is another country where reality TV, for some odd reason, is extremely popular.
Oh, yeah, same thing with Holland. But now we're getting the aspect of reality television leaking into other mediums of pop culture. We had it in the American cartoons, like Total Drama Island, which was hilarious.
Yeah, Canada was riffing on that, because those shows came out of Canada.
But it makes you wonder, because like South Park has done it, Simpsons has done it, Family Guy, American Dad.
And every time South Park has done a riff on reality TV, they're going on how bad it is.
Yes, but we're feeding the fire of it. And then when we have, like, Logan Paul appearing on Masked Singer. So Masked Singer, what it's supposed to be when it originated in Korea and then came to England and then came to the United States, was supposed to be a series where celebrities would have a mask or be in a costume, and you'd have to guess who these people are. But they were celebrities.
Not Logan Paul
or other YouTubers or Twitch streamers.
The most recent season, which turned a lot of people off, Rudolph and Giuliani.
Well, it had Sarah Palin, it had Marshmallow, it had I understand sports stars, because in America,
football players and basketball players are on the same pedestal as movie stars.
Exactly. That's how our culture is run. Musicians are in a lower tier than movie stars and sports players. And that's fine. We expect that. We've been conditioned to that from childhood. That's why all these parents put their children in sports groups, because their eventual goal is that their child is going to be drafted into any of these sports, make millions of dollars.
When you only have a 1 in 100,000 chance of your child making it.
But does that stop them from spending thousands upon thousands of dollars every year to put their kid in every sport known to man?
Nope.
I have many coworkers who do this, so it fascinates me entirely how much money they waste. But it's the thought process there of, okay, now we have reality television, and kids are not just looking to emulate making a YouTube channel. Before, kids wanted to be a YouTuber because they wanted to do like what that guy with the glasses was doing.
Or PewDiePie.
PewDiePie. Or Dan, who did a lot of the figure reviews. Or even Shartimus.
Now they want to be like Jake and Logan Paul.
And they're friends. And there's more than just them now. Most of the people who have like millions of followers are typically those who perform on bad behavior. Because people want their reality TV, and if they now can get it on YouTube at no cost, then why not do it?
It's like the old sitcom that only lasted for 2 seasons, men behaving badly. Mm-hmm. It's just exemplified.
Oh, absolutely. And reality TV, I never thought it would be here to stay. When it came out in the 90s with Real World, I thought it was going to be a fad because it was at the time where MTV was still a music station, and it was doing a lot of different things. It had Celebrity Deathmatch, it had Aeon Flux, it had all of those like really edgy things.
But it's when ABC and CBS launched The Bachelor and Survivor that had popularized itself into the mainstream.
And The Bachelor, I think what really helped that take off was because of Monica Lewinsky. Because it was after the Clinton scandal, and you have a name that sadly she will ever be known by is the Clinton scandal girl. She can't change her name because Monica Lewinsky is Monica Lewinsky, and you know her face everywhere. So after that was started, every other show kicked off. And then when you had all of these pseudo-celebrities, and I really do call them pseudo-celebrities, because Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton
were just famous because of who their dads were.
Exactly. Their families were famous, so in turn, they felt they deserved it. And when the pseudo-celebrities came in, made reality television, and made it popular and big, everybody thought it was so easy they would do it.
Yeah, Jersey Shore was the best example of let's just pick some random dumbasses and make a TV show.
Well, Snoop Dogg did it for a while. Ozzy Osbourne did it for a while.
Ozzy's was entertaining though.
No, well, so was Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg's Ozzy were entertainment. Then you had The Girls Next Door with Hugh Hefner. That was entertaining. But it was still in the early 2000s where everybody was like, okay, this is just a fad. We've all seen these fads come and go.
And then 2010, when Keeping Up with the Kardashians came out, is when you knew this wasn't going away.
No. And I think what helps reality television on any platform stay is social media.
And it's cheap to produce.
It's cheap to produce, but the moment Twitter really became popular, that's when the staying power of reality television was exemplified, because everybody could react in real time to the episodes, including those individuals that were on the episode. And then for the Kardashians, they made sure everything in their life was public, so by the time the show actually came out...
There's a reason Caitlyn Jenner has the most profitable Instagram account in the world.
And I have many things to say about Caitlyn Jenner, but I will leave that off the record. But it's really that, because Facebook was never used to help with the social media, with the reality television platform.
Exclusively Twitter and Instagram have done it.
Exactly. And that's why it's not going away, because that helped turn America specifically, because I'm just going to reference them since I know the most about them, to a reality TV focused culture. Because we each...
And that's another, and you can add this in, that's why Twitch has become so popular.
Well, exactly. And Twitch is turning into the same dumpster fire that Twitter is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Amazon's making bank off of Twitch.
And it's amazing because all we want is bad behavior. Kaiju has said it multiple times. I wonder if I posted videos about myself being a complete douche, if they would get more hits. And the answer is a resounding yes. If he posted a day-to-day life of him, oh my God, we would be multimillionaires.
Yeah, but do we really want videos of him raging at GTA?
No. I'm not saying, because thankfully he's not like a terrible human being like the Pauls are, but his viewpoints, his political views, his religious views, his social economical views.
It'd be a Twitter cancel.
He would be beyond popular because while he doesn't offend anyone, he would piss off everyone.
Yeah. And you'd have Twitter going, cancel, cancel, cancel.
And guess what happens to people who get canceled?
Yeah. We already seen it with the Paul brothers.
They have been canceled numerous times, but they're still around. And you have to think of that the other end. Do you want people to really just see you as that? Because how I act here on my podcast or when we do any of our videos is not exactly who I am.
We already know I have a different persona in public versus private.
I do as well. And my persona is actually very dark compared to what I present online. Because, same thing. If I acted like my true self online, people would be eating me up forever. You've already gotten hints of it when watching the Zenkaiger reviews.
I think people got a hint of mine when we did the animated culture episode.
But you have to think with reality television, what is the consequence going to be?
Yeah.
And when is it going to become too much?
Exactly. And there's what's the fine line, and I don't think in America there is a fine line at this point. We just reward bad behavior for what it is.
Well, exactly. And now that it's been instilled in our culture for
20 years plus.
I would say almost 30 years by this point.
True.
I don't think it's going away. And I kind of feel like reality television was the reason why we don't really have sitcoms anymore.
It actually is the reason why we don't have sitcoms anymore.
We have a few, but nothing to the degree of what we used to have.
No, because sitcoms used to kind of satirize what real life was like. Well, then you got reality TV, and it's just, we're just watching a sitcom in live action.
And why would anybody want to watch a sitcom when you can see a dumpster fire happening real time?
Yeah. And sadly, we'd rather watch the dumpster fire happen in real time.
Well, if you think about it, American culture-wise, we love dumpster fires. Think about it. We have demolition derbies. We have sports. We have NASCAR. Everything.
Monster truck rallies.
Everything we enjoy to a degree, even if it's in pop culture format of a movie or of a sports activity or of a book, anything, even video games. We like watching dumpster fires.
GTA. Why do you think GTA is so popular?
We talked about this in our earlier with From Software. With their whole creating a game that is so hard, it's a select group of people who can play it. And when you have something like that, you're like, okay, how in the hell are people going to go back to a family-oriented sitcom and feel comfortable?
You really can't. They've really outdated themselves, and a lot of the people that watch those watch them for nostalgia. Look at the Fresh Prince reboot. It's going for the dark and gritty.
I know. I don't know anything about that. I haven't watched it. I've just seen the trailers, but... And then when you tried to bring back Fuller House,
you had to put it on a streaming service because that's the only way a syndicated sitcom can actually flourish.
And even watching it, I'm like, okay, it's great to have that feel from the 90s again, but the world is so different from that.
Where the Connors reboot from Roseanne actually takes and goes with what modern day situations are for people in that age group.
Yeah, but I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole either.
I just end up, every time I take lunch on an evening, that seems to be what's on the TV in the break room. I don't know why.
But reality television, I enjoy select things, but even then, I have a hard time with it.
I haven't watched a true reality TV program in years.
I think the only thing I watch anymore is RuPaul, and that's just because I actually like the costume aspects, but even that is starting to grow tiresome for me.
Yeah, ever since Next Top Comic got canceled, I have not watched a reality TV show since that, and that was only ended up getting canceled because they ended up getting some comedians on there that created controversy. And NBC went, nope.
Well, exactly. And is that the only way we're going to get rid of reality television? But even then, we're popularizing teenagers getting pregnant.
I think at that point, there is no controversy America's going to sink to that can be too low at this point, unless it's involving R. Kelly.
And God help me, I know they already did like a documentary on R. Kelly. But with that note, we are going to sign off for this month. We've just done 4 consecutive episodes for you all to enjoy. But we will be back. We're not going to have as long of a hiatus, I promise.
Unless something like you getting sick really bad again happens.
Yes. No sicknesses, no surgeries.
No work stoppages.
No work stoppages. No excessive working. Let's kind of go back to the normalcy of life. And if we really need to, escape from it, we're not going to use reality television. We're going to use video games.
Hence why I have a brand new gaming PC. You can find me on Steam under Advent Nebula.
And you can find me under PlayStation, which I'm doing more of it now, under Cruellica.
And with that, we will see you in April. We are more than likely going to look at tackling some other serious topics. But also, probably will not do another character deep dive until the summertime.
Yeah, I think what we want to do with our character deep dives is we want to reevaluate how we're doing it and make sure that it's entertaining and not preachy.
Yeah. And with that, we will see you later.
Bye!